What's up, guys? You are listening to HVAC Masters of the Hustle podcast, and this is your host, J Dub Moneymaker, and welcome to episode 114, you guys. First off, I want to say thank you for all my subscribers out there that truly reach out to me every week and tell me how this podcast is bringing you and your company to the next level. And for all my new listeners out there, make sure you guys smash the subscribe button because this podcast is bringing thousands and thousands and thousands of people to the next level. And I say this every episode. I believe that everyone has a Spartan in them. It's my job, my duty, and my obligation to bring that out in you. And man, do we have a good episode for you guys. You know, we've been going back and forth trying to get him in the hot seat, but this is the $7 million man in the West Coast. Let's give it up for Daniel Arroyes. How you doing, brother?
Great, man. Feels good. I know we've been trying to get this going for a while now, so I apologize. But
we're both busy, man. So It's cool that we got to link up finally. And for my listeners listening, yes, it is a Saturday and we're out grinding, getting content out there. So Daniel, tell my listeners a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the HVAC industry?
Yeah. So, like I said, my name's Daniel Arroyes. I basically been in the industry for about 20 years now. And it's kind of a funny story how I started. I was looking for a career, was just at a regular job and wanted more. The city I lived in at the time was offering a trade school, to pay for a trade school for you to get on a career path.
Nice.
And I went down there and they asked me, what I wanted to do. And so what were my options? They basically told me plumbing, heating and air, or electrician, and kind of thought that air conditioning sounded cool. So that's how I just rolled with it, to be honest with you. Went to a trade school for about a year here in Anaheim, California. And then from there, I went directly into installs. So I actually installed for 7 years.
Okay.
At my old previous company. So I did that for 7 years, kind of, after 7 years, figured I wanted more in the industry. And that's when I reached out to Service Champions and applied there. I've been here now about 14 years and started off as a technician, started off as a tech and turned leads over, and then I became a senior tech. So doing tune-ups myself, selling on my own. And then from there, probably in the last 5 years is when I finally became a comfort advisor.
Nice. So you progressed in the industry from installers to technician to senior technician to a comfort advisor now, doing
Correct.
well over 7 million, 7.2 million, you guys.
Crazy,
this guy is an absolute beast. He's an animal. You talk about a Spartan, he knows his inner beast. And let's rewind a little bit and talk about when you were an installer, right? Can you remember, introducing yourself into the industry as an installer and what you had to overcome, or any stories that pop out to you that maybe, my green listeners might have messed up on something, but how you corrected it and learned from the mistake?
Yeah. So basically it's funny, when I did installs, actually, it was just strictly for brand new construction homes. So it wasn't for, clients' houses where I walked into and pulled out the old systems, put in new ones. It was basically, the trucks would drop off all the new equipment, furnaces, the air conditioners in the middle of the street, no cement, no driveways. You just got to get a dolly and 4x4 everything to the yard, to the houses, and then, start installing them. Like I said, did it for 7 years and just progressed from there. Knew I had more in me, and doing the installs, I learned to, pay attention to detail. And I always took my pride in self of no callbacks, no leaks, no, stuff like that. And just took my time and paid attention to detail. Then, from there, I believe I took that same approach when I became a technician,
Mm-hmm. And going into a tech role now where you're dealing residential, talking to clients, right? How did you perform the skills? Because you're a very good communicator. One thing that I got the privilege of doing when I was at Bell Brothers, for my listeners out there, was I actually got to listen to Daniel I actually got to listen to him train some of our guys through a Zoom meeting. And the guy that he was talking about, or what he was saying, was just absolutely amazing knowledge and nuggets that he was dropping. So going into, a tech role, how do you communicate? How do you build that trust? How do you build that rapport?
So I've always been, like you mentioned, just good at communicating and talking, just having conversations, and I've never knew this, obviously when I was younger or doing installs, I didn't start recognizing my talents until, coming here as a technician and having to talk with clients. Because when I did installs, I didn't deal with clients. And I was able to figure out that I read clients very well. And so by able to read clients, that helped me, communicate and direct that conversation to where I needed to go, as far as that goes. And I started identifying that within the first 6 months, believe it or not, within the first 6 months of being here, because that's when they started, hey, I want to promote you to a senior technician. Because I just, right out the gate, it was just a blessing. Just started taking off with it and never turned back ever since, man. It's just been a crazy roller coaster ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about, the training that you do or have done, I know Service Champions does an absolutely amazing job training their guys. Have you only done their training, or have you progressed through any other trainings out there?
I actually, want to get into that later on and into getting some training out there. But no, to answer your question, I just have done training here. I've
Awesome.
actually reached out to my owner to, kind of, let me spread this throughout, the country. Because I feel that this, and you've listened to that training like we talked about. I feel this industry has changed and evolved, and those training visits, man, are key. That
Oh,
was the key to that 7.2 million last year, as far as that goes. And I actually approached my company a few years back about this. We've always done somewhat training visits to a certain point, but never to this level.
mhm.
And I just saw the industry changing, and I tried to take it, the approach a few years back, but it took a little time. And finally, the company got a hold of it last year, and the company themselves set company records, because of it. So, but yeah, I believe that's where it's at in this industry
Oh,
right now.
absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. Is these training visits for some of my listeners that maybe don't know what we're talking about with these training visits, right? When I go out there and I'm on site training and I'm a national trainer, those are training visits to me because I'm not the one running the lead, right? So I'm riding with technicians and I'm making sure that they're implementing the right thing, or I'm creating the urgency, right? And I'm telling you guys, when you guys have a team of, 7 comfort advisors and 30 technicians out there, and you split them up 2 to 3 per each comfort advisors, and they hold them accountable, and you train them, and you go in and you work with your guys and fine tune them for what you want them to do for you, it's game changer. Instead of them sitting at home playing video games or watching TV or whatever the heck it is, right? I mean, explain a little bit about those, because I mean, you're the man when it comes to it.
Yeah. So basically, I've always, been, had the advice, by our owner of our company, which I believe is the best owner in the country. Put them on the market, take them off, right, as quickly as possible. And the quickest way you can do that, because what happens on a turn? Because I have to turn myself.
Yep.
When you turn them, right, even if we're able to turn them next day, right, that's still 24 hours. They can talk to people, research things,
Yep.
change their mind, or 3 days out. Every hour, every day that passes, the percentage of that lead goes down and down. So on a training visit, and I do it several different ways, like we discussed. Sometimes I walk in with the technician. They're going to a tune-up or to a repair call, and I walk in with them. Sometimes I don't go in until 30 minutes later. Sometimes an hour, even an hour and a half later. So it's all different timing, and rolling in there and basically helping create that interest. Something that maybe the technician's not as experienced with as I might be, because of the time I've invested in this industry. And being able to identify things and getting the client interested, and closing the deal right there on the spot, not giving them opportunities to research and talk to people and things like that.
Oh,
So that's
absolutely.
basically, I go through and with my install experience and my technical and technician experience, I still, even though I'm a comfort advisor, I always tease and talk to my guys where I feel like I'm a a comfort advisor stuck in a senior tech body. You know, I still feel myself as a technician. And that's why we talked, Jason, before. I wear a uniform. I don't wear, you know, dress clothes or things like that. And so I get dirty. I crawl through the attics. And it's about putting on the show basically at the client's house. And they see that. And what they don't think sales, right? No sales guy is going to crawl through the attics and get dirty and take apart the systems. I just, you know, I actually sometimes do the tune-up. You know, I take over the actual call, like if I'm doing the actual tune-up. So I'm able to set that call up and present all the facts and everything to the client right there in real time and close the sale right there. And that's what's made my numbers jump up. You know, the previous year, you mentioned 7.2. The previous year to that was 4.6, 4.6 to 7.2 in 1 year, you know, and the year prior to that was at 4.2. So, you know, that was a major jump, you know, and a lot of it had to do with the training wheels got taken off and just full blown on the training visits. I still run a handful of leads here and there, but it's very rare, to be honest with you now. And that's just been a blessing, man. It was a blessed year last year.
Nice. And, you know, I love hearing your progression of that 4 jumping to 7. I mean, that's a huge amount of success by running these training visits. Can you talk about real quick, you know, you're talking about going into those training visits, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, over an hour after the tech was out there. How do you educate the homeowner who you are when you walk in?
So a couple of different ways scenario, like a perfect example, just as of recently as of yesterday, I walked in with the technician, introduced myself. I didn't say a position. I made it seem to them I was another technician for them. They're getting 2 techs for the price of 1. You know, and clients aren't going to question, you know, well, you know, why is there 2 or, you know, what's your position, right? And I actually start doing the tune-up with the client. I just take over the call and start engaging with the client, like if I'm the lead tech on the job. That's one scenario, you know, and then, you know, at the very end, if we get to that point where we get them interested and want replacement options, then I explain to them who I am. And I explain to them that, hey, I'm actually one of the trainers, you know, / supervisor. And, you know, my technician is obviously up for the next level of his review. And there's different, one of us riding with him all week. And that's why I'm able to sit down and go over options with you. So at the very end, if I'm going to go over options, I do explain who I am. If not, I don't. And then the other scenarios where if I do go in an hour later, hour and a half later, I do a lot of role playing. That's key as well. I do a lot of role playing with my guys over the phone with the client. And it's nothing about replacement. It's more about, hey, I'm finding some concerns, whether it's efficiency, mechanical, safety, health. And I just want a second pair of eyes. Daniel, you happen to be in the area, or can you, you know, stop by, give me a second pair of eyes to see what the best options are for these clients, see how much more time they have. By doing that, I'm going in there and then I reply to them on the phone. Yeah, you know what? Let's see if we can get some more time out of it, right? You know, out of that system. And so I'm the client's friend. I'm trying to get more time out of it. But the last thing I want to do is try to, you know, have you buy a new system. And then I go in there and I reassure everything. I take apart the system. I crawl through the attic, look at the ductwork, whatever it may be. And then that's when I go down there and I sit down with them. I said, yeah, you know, unfortunately, you know, I do confirm what my technician is finding, you know. And so, but at that point, right when I walk into that door, their guard's down. They don't have their sales guard up and they're trying to, you know, defense and have a game plan for you, right? Because if you set up a lead and you go back, you give them also time to game plan. Okay, honey, we're going to say this or say that, right? They don't have any game plan, man.
And that's what I say. It's always like football, right? They huddle up before the comfort advisor gets out there and they go, oh, this is our objection. We're not doing it. We're getting multiple. And then they're on the same page, right? So always trying to interrupt that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Or you brought up football, you know, like sports. I compare what we do to sports, where it's, you know, what do the best sports teams do? They game plan for that game, right? For that star player, right? That star player. Okay, cool. I'm going to game plan and do this and this. Well, I'm that star player coming in. They have no game plan because they have no idea what I'm going in there for.
And that's the funny thing that you mentioned that, because when I'm on site training, I always say, you know, there's a reason why Tom Brady's the best quarterback out there, or Michael Jordan's the best basketball player, Kobe Bryant, right? Is because these guys know what they're getting themselves into, right?
Yes.
They do videos, film daily, weekly. I mean, on one player, like you said, to understand what they're going into. So you guys, like I say on site, like I say on the podcast, know who you're getting in know who you're getting in front of. Social media is out there. Look at
Yeah.
Zillow to see if they're the owners of the home. I mean, there's so much ammunition that's floating towards us that gets us one step ahead of them every single time. And at the end of the day, buyers are liars, right? So we need to make
Yep.
sure we're aware of that. Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, so now talking about the training visits going in, now you convince or not convince, but you educate a homeowner that it's time to replace. And they say, you know what, Daniel, how much is a new one? Right now,
Correct.
what type of transition do you do for that? And how long does it take you to finalize, happily involving a client?
So yeah, I'm one of the ones I spend a lot. If I know that there's opportunity there and we're going to end up going over options, I mean, I'm at a client's house probably average 3 hours. I'm investing that time with them, and as I'm doing, before to answer that question, I'm planting seeds.
Yes.
As I'm going through the call, and one of those seeds is even, and I know everybody has their different opinions on it, but I even price condition, as I'm planting the seeds and, comparing it to like buying a car or certain things. There's ways I plant that seed. So that way, when you sit down with them, they don't fall out of their chair when they don't fall out of their chair when you hit them with this huge number.
Absolutely.
As far as that goes. So, to kind of answer your question, I basically, as I'm planting those seeds and building that rapport and doing all that as I'm walking through, I don't do a normal sit down presentation, like the average possibly comfort advisor does, again, because it just goes back to my background. That's not me. So I'm kind of doing the most of my presentation once the client is interested and they want to hear replacement options, then that's when I switch to, obviously I'm starting to do measurements and things like that. And that's when I do my presentation. I start talking about certain things. And so once we sit down, at that table, I pretty much have already talked up the benefits of the different systems that we carry and the different that we offer. And I almost have a system already picked out for them because I've already talked up the different ones, and they're like, okay, I want, for example, we have silver, gold, platinum, presidential, and oh yeah, I want the gold. So a lot of clients tell me they want the gold before I even give them the price because I talked up those benefits of that gold and they want it. And that's what I try to teach these technicians is you need to talk up the benefits of what a new system can do, right? Don't mention pricing, don't mention any of that, just what it can actually do for them, lowering
and then hook them on the seeds right there. You're talking about, and they're like, yeah, I really like that. I really like that. That's your ammunition to draw them towards that unit, you guys.
They want it.
Yes, absolutely. Talking about some seeds and nuggets that you drop, one thing that I say, and you might want to use this, you might not use it, but it works very well, is bring that homeowner to the condenser right outside. And you have to establish first to the homeowner, how long do they think the longevity life of a system is, right? Usually they'll say, 15 years. So then you point out their system. How old do you think your system is? Oh, 15 years. So then we both agree that you're at the end of the life of your system, right? So now I just planted a seed. Then I go a little step further and I go, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and take a look at something real quick. Well, your unit actually runs off R22 refrigerant. Let me ask you a question. How much do you think your system's worth right now, knowing that it runs off of obsolete refrigerant? Their next answer is going to be 0, right? So now they think this system's at its end of its life and that it's worth 0. And then I just plant a seed and I go, well, you know what? Because you do run off R22 refrigerant and Service Champions, we're EPA certified. So what we're going to potentially do is we're going to reclaim the refrigerant. We're going to purge it, clean it, and potentially use it for service work. So right now, what you just told me is worth 0 is actually worth $1,000, but we're extremely busy and it has to be installed by the end of the month. And then you just continue doing your work, right? Then all of a sudden you're going to start noticing that they're going to be transitioning and they're going to start asking buying questions. How booked out are you? How long is this going for? How long does an install take? And you'll see their direction just start shifting just by talking about that right there by the system. But you have to have them establish how long of a longevity life of the system is and what's the cost or what their system's worth to them. And I mean, it works like gold nuggets.
Yeah, no, I do it very similar, not exactly that way, but very similar. And like you just said, it's planting the seeds, but also as you're planting the seeds, you're educating that client most clients think the air conditioning and heating system is like a plug-in a kitchen appliance,
yeah,
right?
plug and play.
So it's educating them, and like you said, you plant those seeds, and the key is, this, you want the client to ask you, what should I do? How much is a new one, right? You don't want to have to be the one, and sometimes we do, because sometimes you got to hold that client's hand and guide them, but for the most part, you want to get that client to ask you that. You don't want to tell them, hey, you should replace this. So that's the key. And once I start getting those buying questions and things like that, then that's when I get into the whole educating, and that's how I end up, obviously the numbers that I put up, you got to have a great an average ticket, right? A high average ticket. And to get those high average tickets, it goes back to educating that client, where clients think furnaces are separate than air conditioning systems. So the majority, not all of them, but a majority of the sales that I do are full complete systems, because I sit down and I educate them how that furnace operates with the AC, how the ducts are, the arteries and lungs and things like that. And that's how I combine these large tickets, and I just had my largest one actually last week.
How much?
$100,000.
Woo, that'll boy. One system?
Two systems, two presidential systems, our top line systems, and all new ducting.
How'd that feel?
It was amazing, man, because prior to that, my goal was my highest one was 86,000, and I always wanted to hit that
Congratulations,
that six-figure digit. Yeah, so I ended up doing it, but yeah, no, it felt great, man. It was a great accomplishment. The technician obviously was excited, which even makes me more happier, because my guys I have a group of 3 guys, and we're very tight, so.
How often do you switch and rotate the guys that you're working with?
So some of the other guys in the other positions here at the company, they'll rotate a lot more often as far as that goes. But with me, and I think you might have heard this when I did that training that you said you were in on, where it's not about just pairing any guy with any guy. It doesn't work that way. You guys got to both buy into it. You guys got to both basically have that drive, that hunger, willing to work late, willing to come in on your days off, willing to put that extra time and not cut corners. But to answer your question, no, like, for example, I've had 2 out of my 3 guys I've had now for about a year and a half, 2 years.
Nice.
Almost about a year and a half, so they're going to stay with me until they get to that next level of a senior tech, to where they're selling themselves, and they're going to be beast, because they've been with me for so long. That's the real,
absolutely, man.
Yeah, that's the real training right there out in the field. You can train, I get it, you get the basics down in the classroom and stuff, but
see, I think the classroom training is good, but I think it's bullshit, because you have to, in order for someone to buy in, and this is what I learned when I was doing it at Bell Brothers, right? In order to have someone buy in, you have to show them that it works, and you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. You can't just, it works. They have to see it be implemented. It's huge.
Yes, and that's why I have a lot of respect for you, Jason, with the training that you do, man. Like, you do it both. You get the basics down in the classroom, and then you're out in the field with these guys. I see you, man. And talent recognizes talent, man. So I got a lot of respect for you.
Thanks,
and
brother.
but yeah, for you to go out there in the field too and do all that, man, rain or shine, and it's amazing on what you do, bro. But yeah, that's where it's at.
And the reason why I want to do that is because, everyone hears, oh, you're from California, that's why you have an average ticket 19.5 closing at 72%. It's like, whoa, hang on. I was in Minnesota last week and I sold systems for 20,000. Last week I was in freaking Alabama and I was selling systems at 20,000. I was in North Carolina, sold one for 56,000. It's like, no, it's a belief that's inside your guys' mind that you guys cannot sell systems outside of this price. It's crazy because I don't know their price books. I don't know anything when I go out there, Dan. And I sit there in front of the homeowner and I just go off prices of what I've always sold. Right. So cause I want them to, I want to show them that if you have an average ticket of $8,000 and you're still saying you're the high price guy, I'm going to create a lot of value and show you that you could sell that same system being the high price guy at $17,000, $18,000. And I do.
Absolutely.
It's your mindset. It's crazy.
You just said it right there, man. I don't sell off the price. You know what I mean?
No.
You sell off of obviously, value and trust and rapport building and all that stuff. And it's believing in it. Cause I've come across technicians, where, man, I think our prices are too high. Once you plant that negative seed in your mind, man, it's, you got to believe in it. Where I've had clients look me straight in the eye, Daniel, $25,000 for one system. And I look them right back in the eye. Yeah, $25,000. And then
Absolutely.
they both look at each other. I guess that's the normal on the industry and stuff, so it's about confidence and believing it.
Absolutely. And then going the extra step, you guys, and seeing what the heck your competitors do, because you're going to find out that their $8,000 price is an $8,000 install, right? It's the value. You got to actually believe that you're the premier company and that your installers are going to deliver exactly what you're going to be promising, right? But then as a professional, I always went to my installs just to make sure that what I promised was delivered. I know you're a busy man, so I don't know how often you go to yours, but that's just something I always had to do just to make sure that
Once
my
in a while I
client
do.
was solidified. And then I always get letter recommendations, because there's a reason why we're in the house, right? Is because our company has amazing reviews, right? But when you have a book of handwritten letter recommendations that solidify that you go back to your house, and that's what separates you from your competitors, right? Bob and Betty, I understand that our company's amazing reviews is what got me in the door, but let me show you that I'm not Uncle Buck in his truck. You see my tail lights and never see me again. Here, these are handwritten letters, one by one. Here, go ahead and read it. Women love to read that stuff, right?
No, absolutely. And like I said, we have competitors that are, some are, we're 60% more, 60% more, and I'm not afraid to tell clients, that, but I also tell them you are getting, that much less quality, if that's what you're okay with. And again, when you really educate them on how that system works, and you're dealing with all the, 240 volts and fire and toxic gases and the air you breathe in from the attic, and, you plant those seeds, they don't want that type of install. They don't, and for the most part, you're always going to, not every client's your client, but for the most part. And, it's just about believing in, like, I just, me personally, honestly, I believe every system should be put in, you shouldn't be piecemealing systems together. You shouldn't put a full system on original ducts, and you shouldn't have low insulation, so I believe in all that. And I think the average, my ticket last year was 22,000. So, but you got to believe in it, because if you don't believe in it, then the client's not going to believe it.
Yep. And in order to be confident about this stuff, is you guys got to rehearse it. You guys got to understand what the product is that you guys are educating your client on, right? I mean, it's crazy that a lot of people don't give multiple options, right? They just sell boxes out there. And to me, I think it's crazy, because when I deliver, my Optimum Premier Deluxe and my basic system, the way I educate the homeowner, they're always going towards my Optimum or Premier system. I don't really sell Deluxe basics. I don't ever sell basic systems. That's just
Me
out of the
neither.
equation.
Me neither.
It's just because the way, I mean, I'm a little bit different than you. I go through a questionnaire because I want to solidify a budget with them, because I want to make it affordable to them based off financing. I don't give a shit about when they say $8,000 is their budget. I want to know their financing number, because when a homeowner tells me 8,000 and they could afford $200 a month, to me, they're not educated that we have multiple streams of different banks that want to partner with us, and that I can make a $20,000 investment, $200. Then I go over and beyond that, and I do a utility overpayment, and I grab their utility bill and I change their BTUs into kilowatts. And then I grabbed whatever we change, or whatever we charge them, or the utility bill charges them per cents per kilowatt. And then I change that into wattage, and I show them exactly what the utility savings to the T. Obviously, I'm not God, so I can't predict the weather, but it's going to be pretty damn close. And that's something that I go over. So now they have a $200 utility or finance, right? But then they just saved $52 on a utility overpayment monthly. So now their true out of pocket is $150. And then I bring them back to their questionnaire on that Optimum system. And I go, do you recall what you told me is affordable on a monthly base? And they go, yeah, 200. I go, And then I just hit my next system. And then I talk about all the takeaways now. And now their head's always going back to that Optimum system every single time. And then I'm an a la carte guy. So I tie them in on the questionnaire on indoor air quality, problem areas in the room, hot or cold spots. So I lock them in on the Optimum system. And then I say, early in our questionnaire, we talked about little Timmy's allergies turning asthmatic, and how that makes you feel as a father to see your son really struggle to breathe for air, right? For an extra $12 a month, we could go ahead and install this package for indoor air quality to help, little Timmy's, to benefit him. Would you like to add this on for another $12 a month? I'm not saying it's $4,000 a month. For $12 a month, right? I'm just talking finance. Absolutely. Let's add it on for $12. And then also we were talking about the problem areas in your master bedroom, how it gets uncomfortable with the afternoon sun coming in and you're really not feeling comfortable sleeping at night. For, an extra $15 a month, what I can do is put manual dampers or new duct runs, whatever it is. Do you want to go ahead and add that for another $17 a month? Now they just added another, six, seven, $8,000 to their ticket, but to them they only added $30 a month,
Yes.
right?
It's all, yep. It's all
It's
up here.
all how you present the game.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how do you go about presenting?
So, it's funny how you were saying some of those things. We used to call it, and that's why I like, having this conversation, because sometimes you just remind yourself, man, I remember I used to do that. We used to call it true cost of ownership, how you broke down the kilowatts and the energy and today's repairs, future repairs, and you add all that together, right? Compared to what the monthly payment would be, and unless you have stock in Edison, why would you want to keep giving it to Edison every month when you can put it back into your home? So I got away from that. I haven't done that in so long. But that's good.
So what I'll send you, Dan, is I'm going to send you the utility overpayment math. And then I'm going to, because what I do is I'll do the utility overpayment on the math, and then I'll do the true cost calculator. So when the homeowner says, you know what, I want to go ahead and do the motor and capacitor for $800, I said, well, how long are you trying to get out of this system? Right. Well, I'm trying to get another 3 years out of it.
Yeah.
Then I could add the utility overpayment, times that by 3, the part repair, future repairs. You're on my club membership, right? So every year I come out here for the next 3 years. How much do you think you're going to be investing in repairs? $200. So that's another $600 plus inflation, right? So Bob and Betty, just by doing the repair today and hoping to get another 3 years out of it, you're actually throwing away about $5,000 into a new system. What would you like to do? Throw it back on them. What do you want to do about it?
Absolutely.
So absolutely, man, you got the tools, you got everything, you got the mindset, you got the drive. How often are you setting goals? How often are you putting your goals in front of you?
All the time, man. But I'm going to be honest with you. If I would have told you last year my goal was 7.2, I'd be lying to you. My goal last year was 5 million. And so to answer your question, I set there's basically, I used to do it daily goals, but I have my monthly goals, that I do, and then my quarterly goals, and then obviously the ultimate, the yearly goal. But you got to do it, but not just talk about it. You got to write it down. That's my main thing. You got to write it down, and you got to see it every day. I even have my technicians, they have it up there on their visors in their trucks. And so they see it every single day, along with their kids or their family. And that's their motivation every day, as far as that goes. But setting goals, writing it down, because it's not real unless you write it down, as far as that goes. But that's huge. I do that all the time.
Nice, brother. Well, I got listeners from business owners, dispatchers, installers, technicians, comfort advisors. What would you like for them to get out of this episode of HVAC Masters of the Hustle?
I mean, basically, if the sky's the limit, man, if you really want to take your game to the next level, and whether it's, obviously income, and that's what it's all about. Let's be real, right? It's about making that money for your family.
Absolutely.
The numbers are impressive, Jason. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay them, but that 7.2 million is second. It's what I made for that year for my family and provided for my family is what to me was number one. And so to me, I would just tell everybody out there, man, if the sky's the limit out there, and if you put the time and the work in, it's no different than we talked about, like professional sports, right? The best of them, do what others aren't doing. And if you can really do that, separate yourself from everybody else, put that extra time and take that extra call, late at night, come in sometimes on your day off, take that extra no from that client, give that extra effort. When you walk out of that home, I always tell myself when I walk out of that home, I want to give it my all. And knowing that if you didn't get that sale, that's fine, because there's always another door that's going to open. There's always another day. And, my wife has the biggest motto for me, and what's really helped me, we all struggle, right? We've all had bad days, bad weeks,
Yep.
and you've had a bad day. You don't have a bad life,
Yep.
as far as that goes. So shake that off, move on to the next. But don't leave anything unturned, no stone unturned, crawl through that attic, really touch with that client and every level of that system, the air conditioning, the heating, everything, and give it your all. And if you can walk out of that house knowing that you gave it your all, you took that extra call, then man, the numbers are going to be there. It will be there. As far as that goes. So you get what you put into it, basically.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for being a guest. I greatly
Thanks for
appreciate
having me,
you. It's an
Jason.
honor, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.